Thanks for joining us and welcome to PO Sports Talk. I'm Ed Gottwald along with co-host Joel Rainier, and this time we're joined by Mike Miller. We're going to do a little something different this time. Each of us is going to talk a little bit about their favorite sports memory from the 2010-2011 season. And Joel, you're going to talk about the fall season, so you're up first.
Hey, that's not fair. I thought I was going last.
It'll be different this way.
All right. I wanted to pick the Greencastle Antrim football team this year because normally our teams stink in football, so this is a nice change. The truth hurts sometimes. It just seemed like every night this was like the first time in a while that it seemed like this was a team that you knew was going to win, and a lot of times, by how much. They outscored their opponents 488 to 111, won the Colonial Division, and had their first undefeated regular season. So it was just one of those teams that was fun to watch. They had 2,000-yard rushers, a dominating defense led by our Player of the Year, Denton Ensminger, and they also won their first playoff game in a while, 42-6 over Hamburg. So got some juices flowing on a Friday night for once, which was nice.
Okay. I'll go next, and probably not surprisingly, anybody that knows me, I'm going to talk about Chambersburg's performance at the PAAA State Wrestling Tournament. Garrett Hammond and Dawson Peck both finished runners-up, and Tanner Shipp was fifth, and as a consequence, Chambersburg was sixth as a team. You could have never, ever got me to believe that was going to happen, certainly not now anyway, so that was pretty shocking. The first sign that things were going to go pretty well, Tanner Shipp had the first match, and they only lost 2-0 to Billy Rappo from Council Rock South, who was one of the favorites to end up winning the championship. And really in that match, Shipp dominated as much of it as Rappo did, so that was a pretty good sign. The other match I remember was a quarterfinal match of Peck's, where he wrestled this guy who was much heavier than he was, just got pushed around and got called for stalling, and he lost a stalling point, and he was still trailing 1-0 after 2 periods. And he had choice and took top, which is kind of a dangerous thing to do. But like 43 seconds later, he pinned the kid and moved on. And I remember getting up from my seat and walking along the railing of the Giant Center, and just happened to see Peck's dad, Dave, there. And he kind of looked at me, I looked at him, and I'm sure I was smiling like crazy. He had a goofy look on his face, I'm sure I did too. He just kind of did a little fist bump. And it just, that whole kind of feeling just was there the whole weekend of the tournament, which I've really never experienced. I've had some kids do well in that tournament, but never anything like that before, especially so unexpected. It was just a kind of a neat environment. And the best thing is there's a lot of wrestlers in the area did well this year, not just as Chambersburg kids, and almost everyone's back that did pretty well this year. So I'm looking forward to next year quite a bit. Mike, you're up.
Well, thanks for having me, fellas. Just being able to watch the spring season unfold. Phantom Metal softball team was just a great story from the beginning of the season all the way through the end. They had their two-headed monster in the circle, Blair Lauders and Jenna Rhodes. They were just dominant all year long. Lauders finished with 13 wins. The team itself finished with a 20-3 record. I believe they outscored their opponents by almost a 150-run margin. So it was a very impressive year for them. And watching them sort of get over the hump in PIAA, beating Claysburg Kimmel in the first round, it was sort of nice to see the team evolve from last year to this year, and they're certainly building towards next year with a young core with Lauders and Rhodes and Naomi Fields and a couple other girls. So they'll be fun to watch the next couple of years.
I think next year overall, just from what I can recall, there's a lot of good people that we saw this year coming back, more so than like last year to this year.
Right.
So I think our team's going to do pretty well next year. Anything else you want to add end of the season, Joel?
Also, basketball season was pretty exciting with Chambersburg. Kind of disappointed in the spring, just as not as many teams making it to the playoffs, but that might be too expected with a lot of seniors last year leaving. But should be a good season next year. Hopefully, do some good things.
Okay.
Playoff time is always the best time, so the more playoff teams, the better next year.
That's true. And Mike, you went through this for the first time. You're enjoying yourself a little bit?
Oh, it was a blast, just sort of coming in during the heat of the basketball playoff race there, watching Greencastle and Chambersburg sort of going to districts and the state tournament. It was a fun little run there to get involved with in the beginning. It was good.
Okay. Thanks again for joining us for Sports Talk. Have a good summer, and we'll see you in the fall.